Hey everyone, how are you all doing today? Have any of you ever had a teacher that just drives you crazy, one that you just can't stand? You feel that out of every student in the class, she or he specifically hates you. You feel like they specifically came to this planet, specifically came to your classroom, specifically taught your class just to make your life a living hell. Well, I've had one of those teachers in my life. It was actually one of my college professors from last year, and I cannot stand her. She literally was sent here to make my life hell. But anyways, before I get into the story, I thought that this would make a good story time topic because for me, school starts on Wednesday. I know most of you have probably already went back to school, so shout out to all of you. Keep grinding, keep reading those books, keep getting your work done. It sucks, but once you get through it, it's over with. So good luck to all of you in your school year. I hopefully will have a good school year myself. It's my senior year of college, so I'm excited to get it over with. But anyways, let's get into the story. Now, this professor taught film production class. Now, if you don't know what film production is, it teaches you how to use a film camera. Basically, this class was geared for the 1940s. Now, I'm unsure why it was taught to me in the first place. I'm kind of upset I had to take this anyways, but it is a core class for my major, so I am required to take it. I am required to learn it. It's cool, but I don't think it's necessary. I mean, no one uses film cameras anymore in the industry except for Quentin Tarantino. So, anyways, besides what film production is, it's a class where you load film cameras, you learn how to use these film cameras, and if you don't know what a film camera is, it's one where you can't re-watch your clips, it's one where you can't delete something you recorded, you actually load real rolls of film into the camera, you take everything one time, if you messed up, well, you lost your clips, and if you run out of film, you have to put a new whole thing in. So it is a quite tedious process, and it's something that you really don't need to know in this day and age because of how much digital production has taken over, so it's a pretty useless class in my opinion. But anyways, I was forced to take this class. Now, the professor I had was Mrs. Weber. Now, I normally don't name and shame people, but this teacher deserves to be named and shamed because she graded me on stuff that was ridiculous. So, her name was Mrs. Weber. If you've ever had her, I'm not saying what college it was at, but if you are a film and television major, you had an older lady that taught you named Mrs. Weber. She kind of looks like Albert Einstein. You know who she is, and you know that she's awful. I mean, some people said they liked her, but a lot of the people I know hated her. So I don't hate on anyone or discriminate against anyone, but this teacher was ridiculous. I don't like her whatsoever. So anyways, let me get into the story to tell you why I didn't like her at all. First of all, the first day of class, she came in 30 minutes late. She said that the trains were flooded, and I don't care about her being late. We were all going to leave because of the 15-minute rule in college, but we all stayed since it was the first day. She came late and she apologized, and we went on with our day. Anyways, she came late 5 other times to teach us. I mean, we pay for this class, we get there, and then she's late to teach us, and we lose out on our time. So that's kind of crazy. But the thing that kills me is that she's a hypocrite. Now, I was late 4 or 5 times to her class because I have an hour commute from my house to college. So it is really rough to get there, especially with traffic, and I had her class at an interesting time. I think it was around 12, and there's a little bit of traffic on the LIE from my house to school. So it was difficult to get there on time a lot, but when I was late, it was only by like 5 or 10 minutes, so I didn't miss much being it was a 3-hour class. So I thought it was unfair that she first of all graded me and penalized me for being late to the class when she was late just as many times as I was. Why are you allowed to be late but I'm not? I mean, I'm paying for the class, I should be able to come whenever I want. Just saying. Anyways, this teacher thought that she was like God's gift to filmmaking. Now, I don't know what she's done in her filmmaking career. All I know is that she's a teacher, but all she does is work with film cameras. All she uses is film cameras, and she treats these film cameras at the school like they're her babies, like they're actual children, and if she doesn't look after them, they will die. So, it was really irritating having her breathe down our necks whenever we were using the equipment. She should trust us enough. I mean, we were juniors in college handling this equipment. I think we know not to break it by now, or not to do something stupid. So anyways, what the class consisted of was loading a film camera for 6 to 7 weeks. Now, we learned on the first day how to load a film camera, and then we relearned it for the next 6 weeks of the class. And pretty much once you learned how to do it, you didn't need to relearn how to do it every week. It's like she thought we forgot how to and kept teaching us how. And that's all she taught us for 6 to 7 weeks. I mean, she taught us how to use a tripod, but that was pretty much self-explanatory, being in our junior year and being film majors. I think we all know how to use a tripod by now. But she only taught us how to load these film cameras. And yes, that's essential, that's pretty much all we needed to know. But still, for 6 to 7 weeks, which is a big majority of the class, that's all you're teaching us? That's ridiculous. Anyways, there was only 3 things we had to do in the class. There was 3 homework assignments. 1 was a storyboard for the project we were going to film. 2 was to bring the cameras home safely and return them safely. And 3 was to film and edit a whole short film, which is about 3 to 5 minutes long. And that was it. So basically, if you did those 3 things, essentially, you should get an A. And basically what I did was I handed in my storyboard. I had my thing all done. Then I got my camera, I returned it safely, there, that one's done, and I made my short film, so I should have been credited for that. But yes, I handed in all of my 3 things, I did everything according to the class, and I should have gotten A. But the grade I received was a C-, which is the lowest grade I've ever received in college. I actually never received anything lower than a B, but it turned out that she gave me a C-, and I asked her, why did I get a C-, and she said, because you were late a lot of times. That's why I received a C-, which is only about 4 grades from failing. So that was her justice, was that I was late a few times, because I had to hit traffic on my hour commute, and I was late 5 minutes to her 3-hour class, where she didn't teach anything and basically just took attendance, and I made sure that I signed into attendance afterwards. So the big problem was that I was late. She didn't grade me on my work, she didn't grade me on my knowledge of film, she graded me because my lateness to class. Now that's a little ridiculous when you hit college. Maybe in high school being late is a problem, but college should be different. There should be a little bit more leniency, and you should grade me on my work, not my presence in class. If I didn't go to your class once and I went to every test and I got A's because I taught myself the material, that should count towards A's, not because I wasn't at your class, I would get a C. So that's a little ridiculous, and I couldn't believe she gave me that grade. Like I said, it was the lowest grade I ever received in college. Anyways, the kicker, the last part of this story, is the best part, because this shows how crazy she was, how absolutely bonkers she was. Now, like I said, one part of the class was to film and edit your own short film using a film camera, so we had to borrow these film cameras. Now, it was time to register them and sign them out, and the teacher looks at me and she goes, Lee, would you like to get your equipment on Thursday or Friday? So I said I'll get it Thursday because I had a lot of classes Friday, I didn't meet the time that I needed to take it out, and Thursday I would finish class and I would be able to take it out right after, put it in my car, go home and put it at home, and that's why I chose Thursday. So I said, yeah, sure, Thursday at 2 o'clock sounds good, I'll grab the equipment then and I'll be able to go home with it. And then she asked me the question, but then don't you have class on Friday? And I looked at her and I said, yeah, I have class on Friday, why? What's the problem? And she looked at me and said, well, who's going to watch the equipment? Who's going to look after it? And I just looked at her and I was like, what do you mean? Like, someone has to look after it? And she goes, well, it's the school's equipment and it's expensive and I don't want it to be in a bad spot or get stolen or taken or get damaged in any way. And I just looked at her and I go, it's going to be in my room at home. It's perfectly safe. It's fine. And then she had the audacity to say, well, are your parents going to be home? And I just looked at her and I said, I don't know. I'm not responsible for their lives. My dad works and my mom does volunteer work, so I don't know if they're going to be home or not. Why does it matter? And she goes, oh, so it's just going to be home alone in your room? And I looked at her and I was like, yes, it's going to be home alone in my room. It's going to be fine. It's going to be safe. Like, what more do you want? And this is the absolute kicker. This is the icing on the cake. This made everyone's jaws drop when she asked me this. And everyone in my class was just looking at me like, how are you tolerating this right now? Like, this teacher is badgering you and asking you these ridiculous questions. I would just get up and leave. But anyways, she looked at me and said, do you live in a nice neighborhood? And I just looked at her and I said, yes, I live in a nice neighborhood. Where do you think I live? In the ghetto? Do you think my house gets broken into every single day? What do you think happens at my house? Like, you think I live in the worst neighborhood ever where they just always steal film cameras? Do you think James Bond is on a secret mission to break into my house, steal your film camera, and pawn it off for $1 billion? Like, what's going on in your mind? Like, I live in a safe neighborhood. I'm a responsible person. I could take care of a film camera. And first of all, if someone broke into my house to steal something, they would take the flat screen TV on the wall, they take my computer, they take my DSLR camera that they know how to use, they wouldn't take the instrument-looking box with your film camera in it that they don't know how to use or what money it's worth. They would just leave that on the floor and probably kick it because they think it's funny. I mean, what do you think's gonna happen? I was just mind blown that she asked these questions to me, that she's badgering where I live, that she's asking me if people are gonna be home to watch it. Like, it's not that serious. Yes, it is an expensive piece of equipment, but I'm going to take care of it. That's what the waiver is for. That's why I signed something that says, if I don't bring it back, okay, I will pay for it. I mean, calm down, teacher. Holy God. So anyways, I obviously didn't say all of that, but I just said, yes, I live in a nice neighborhood, and I'm not gonna have it stolen. Like, what do you think's gonna happen to it? And she's like, oh, well, okay, sounds good. And I just said, yeah, just sign me up for Thursday. I'll deal with it. Don't worry. I was just sitting there with my mind literally exploded. Every kid in the class, which it wasn't a big class, it was about 15 other kids, were just looking at me and were like, how did you put up with that? Like, I would have exploded. And I treat everyone with respect. I treat others how I want to be treated. And I treat teachers like my parents. And basically, I was just sitting there fried out of my mind. I wanted to just get up and leave the class. I couldn't believe what happened. And yeah, I finally got the camera. I did bring it back in one piece and not stolen. Can you believe that? But anyways, I got a C- in the class. I had to deal with this crazy professor who treated the film cameras like they're kids. I don't know what happened, but this was the worst teacher I've ever had in my life, and it was in college. I paid for that course. That's what makes it worse, is that I had a terrible teacher. I got a terrible grade just because I was late, not because of my work. I was badgered and asked a billion questions for no reason, and I paid for the course. I mean, I don't know how much worse it could get in school. But lastly, the finisher to the story is that you can get your grade appealed. You can appeal your grade to a higher council at school. You go a specific day to the campus. You have your grade appealed. The teacher goes, and they have to provide valid evidence of why you got your grade. If they don't have valid evidence, you get your grade changed to what you deserved. And my dad and I called her phone about 25 times. She answered none of them. We left 5 voicemails. She answered none of them. And then we went to the appeal thing, and she requested to opt out of it. And I had to keep my grade of a C-. So that just goes to show you that she is an evil lady and that she really just hated me because she didn't even care to try to prove why she gave me that grade. She knew it was bull, so she just didn't even go and she dodged all of our calls. So she is completely ridiculous. But that's my story. That's a teacher that literally is sent on this earth to make your life hell. Please share in the comments below if you guys have any problems like that. Is there a teacher that specifically just grinds your gears? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read your stories. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you guys in the next one, and hopefully, Miss Weber, you do not watch this video or I never take one of your classes ever again because I would never make it through it. Later, everyone.